let's begin the first They Sleep Among Stars talkback episode, specifically around productions. So, the main reason why I was kind of inspired to kind of talk about this is because, a lot of folks, there's a lot of APs out there, there's a lot of productions out there, there are a lot of channels, there are a lot of different actual plays out there, different stories that are being told, and at varying levels of like amount of production and things like that. So I think there's a lot of mystery, I think, in AP production and what makes something successful, what it takes to kind of get into production, things like that. And it's one of those things that I'm kind of like, even if you're not interested in being in a producer or being in actual plays, it might be useful to know how some of these things function and work, because then you're able to kind of like appreciate some of the production value that's being put on by a lot of these indie channels. So that's one of the goals and reasons why I wanted to talk about this and bring this up. And I guess I should start with why I started Spirit Bear actual plays in the first place. Those of y'all who are my regulars, y'all know that I've wanted to run actual plays for a while. And that's mostly because I have a lot of stories I want to tell. There's a lot of aspects of like storytelling that I want to show off. And I could have channels that I pitch these shows to, but I also think there's something quite nice about putting it on your own channel and having folks be able to access it and connect with your own community about it. And there's also the idea of there are some performers I want to work with, and folks that I think don't necessarily get their time and day in the space to have their talents acknowledged in a very wider sense. And I want to showcase more talent. I want to showcase more talent not only on screen but behind the scenes. I want to work with more people. And before I had Spirit Bear APs, the only way I could like get access to working with more folks is by signing up to more channels and more spaces and putting my name out there with a bunch of other folks, which is all fine and good. It's something I'm still also doing, but I also vet the places I work with and things like that. So sometimes it takes a while till I'm able to do those things. And oftentimes when I'm signing up for things, I'm a player, right? Or I'm a GM. There's a charity stream coming up. That is going to be a player call. And typically when you're running charity streams, things that have a really quick turnaround, the person who is organizing the charity stream is the one that picks your players, because you're picking them based on availability, not necessarily like table chemistry or anything like that, right? You're trying to see who you can get within that short time frame. So that's one of those are the main reasons why I started Spirit Bear APs, because I wanted to bring my own brand of storytelling out there, and I wanted to work with more folks and showcase more talent, specifically talent of folks in the global south that definitely don't get their time of day because of time zones. Yeah, so that's why I started it. I want to talk about my goals. I have a few goals for Spirit Bear APs. My first goal is to create a new standard of evocative storytelling within the AP space, things that are resonant with a lot of the things some of the other folks are doing in the space, kind of trying to enrich the AP production game here of the kind of stories that we tell here. So being able to play more games that are like 2-person or like 1-person, trying to play more games that are narrative driven, that are like saturated in drama, things like that. And I mentioned this goal earlier. I also want to feature more folks of color and folks specifically from the global south, from the sea region, within this AP space and within the performance space, because there are plenty of beautiful, wonderful, talented players out there. They just don't get the opportunity. They just don't get the opportunity, whether they are unable to see it, whether they can't because of time zones, because it's not feasible, high costs on their end, all of that stuff. I want to kind of open the doors a bit more. And even if I can't like guarantee like massive like celebrity status success, I want to have that space, right? I want to have that creative space, because I have always been a staunch supporter of having access to accessible community creative spaces. That's why like community theater is so important to me, and things like that. Like folks should have access to things like that, and being able to have an outlet for that kind of creativity. So yeah, those are my major goals for Spirit Bear actual play, and I am very, very excited about it. It's not going to be something that's like, I don't foresee myself running like a long-term campaign anytime soon, but like short-term mini campaigns, one shots, two shots, definitely on the table. And I'm very, very excited. I'm so excited. All right, now that I've kind of talked generally about Spirit Bear APs and my goals, why I started in the first place, let's talk about some of the real shit. Let's start talking about the why not everyone wants to be a producer. Let's talk about the challenges in having an actual play production. So, if you are an indie actual play producer, please be ready to have a huge task list. Please be ready to be busy all the time. I'm so excited too. It's gonna be incredible. Thank you so much, Arlene. But yeah, please be prepared to have a huge task list, and be prepared for that task list to include several things that are maybe not skills you have acquired yet. I mean, in talking about They Sleep Among Stars, right? When I and Vic decided that we were going to do this, it was very much a, okay, great, we have this AP. I get, and even then I was like, oh, I guess we're doing it on my channel. Okay, I guess I'm doing this. I'm doing an AP on my channel. So that came the realization of like, oh, okay, if this is on my channel, there's a lot of stuff I need to do. Part of my task list was, well, the general project managing of it, right? Like getting organized. And that's the kind of like things of like, okay, so there's myself, there's Civic, there's C, right? And I need to organize when we're having our session 0. I need to organize when a time after session 0 where Vic and I can talk about world building. I have to make sure that for my producer, who is C, that they had all the assets ready, that they had my stream key, that for music and things like that. So I had to like come up with a bunch of like project managing deadlines. I had to like open up a great many Google Docs just so we could have things ready for folks and accessible to folks. Consistent like checking in and messaging, lots of communications. And then I realized, okay, I have to market this now, because no one's going to come and watch it if you don't market it. So I had to start working on promos. And while I was working on promos, I had to go, oh, okay, I need to figure out music for the stream. I also have to figure out if we can do a trailer, because folks are more engaged if you have a video up on Twitter than just an image. So we should do a trailer, and then I can maybe put a trailer on my YouTube. And then it's like, okay, if I'm gonna do all of that, I need to learn how to not only edit for a 16:9 format, but also a 9:16 format, which is the portrait version, so that it is accessible for folks on TikTok, so people on TikTok and YouTube Shorts are able to see it and engage with the content, right? So all of this is to say is very quickly from kind of starting the project of the Sleep Among Stars, I kind of realized, oh, I'm doing a lot. This is a lot of work. And it's just for a 2-shot between 2 players. 2 players and 1 tech producer, right? I was like, oh, this is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. So, and because I realized how much work it is, I made sure that I was paying Victor and I was paying C for their time, because I'm asking them to perform and do things for me. They deserve to be paid. But that's not something everyone else is able to do in their first ever like AP, because let's be real, like money in actual place is a little tight. Unless you're able to kind of like land some sponsorships, and I'm definitely not in the realm of being able to like get sponsorships as of yet, but maybe perhaps in the future I will be able to, and then I'll be able to pay my cast and tech more. And speaking of money and access and things like that, there's the next challenge. Making sure you have the tools and equipment. I'm pretty lucky in the sense that I'm already streaming regularly, right? I stream regularly on this channel, so I already have things like a stream deck, a good quality microphone, a good quality webcam, and things like that. And also a very basic skill in graphic designs, and I have access to a Canva membership. So I'm able to make nice overlays. I'm able to make like good quality audio recordings. I'm able to have a stream deck that helps me move between scenes very, very seamlessly. I do have the equipment. Not everyone does, and there are aspects of equipment I don't have. Specifically to run tech and to like, I cannot like produce my own shows. Like I cannot run tech for my own shows now, because my computer will implode. My computer will cry. And it just wouldn't happen. So that was one of the main reasons those of you who follow me on Twitter may have noticed that I had a call for someone to run tech for me. And then see lovingly offered their hand after someone pulled out from running tech for me. And I sat there and I was like, oh, thank God. And it was also a huge relief too, because I've worked with C before. I know how C runs tech. It was so much easier for me to kind of just like trust them, and because all I knew that C will let me know what they needed. I can give everything they needed to them, and I know for a fact that it was gonna be fantastic, right? So I was like, damn. Couldn't ask for a better like producer to help me in my first AP production, I should say. But that took a huge weight off my shoulders, because like otherwise I just wouldn't have the tool or the equipment to do it. I just wouldn't be able to, and I'm grateful for that. And then of course, one of the next challenges of APs, which kind of comes up pretty early on, is figuring out what kind of content and what kind of direction you want your show to go. This is the kind of considerations where you decide, is this going to be a mini campaign? Is this going to be a 1-shot, a 2-shot? Is this going to be a long-term campaign, right? And what game are we playing? What story are we telling? What kind of direction, what kind of engagement do we want our audience to have with the material that we are putting out? Things like that. We had a pretty strong concept from the get-go. Vic and I really wanted to play Follow Me Down together. We both know that not to toot our own horns or anything, but Vic and I have incredible, excellent character chemistry. We have very, very good table chemistry. And every game I've ever like shared a table with Vic, I have always like, we just know each other, gel off of each other so well. So taking that to the next possible step, which is kind of like playing two romantic interests to one another in kind of like a high drama, high stakes storytelling game seemed like the obvious choice, really. So this was honestly a no-brainer. The Fraying Threads episode definitely showed that. Oh, yes. I mean, I guessed it on Fraying Threads. Absolutely. For those of y'all who, some of y'all may not have even seen this, but I ran a game of Flower Court for Vic and for a few others for charity. I'm trying to remember. I believe it was on Friends Who Roll Dice. And that was another instance of Vic and I playing together, and we were just like, this is the logical next step, is to play romantic interests. And my god, was that session amazing. I felt it again. I was just like, yep, this is it. I know exactly what Vic wants. Yep, and I know exactly what Vic is looking for here. I can't wait to deliver. And it was very, very fun and very, very nice. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, but that is like a really, really important consideration when you're putting out an AP production, right? Like the content and the show. And even though we had a really strong concept, you know, we sat in our session 0 and, you know, we talked about safety, we talked about a lot of the other like kind of like logistical stuff. And I had to ask Vic, like, okay, so we're doing Follow Me Down. Are we just doing Orpheus and Eurydice? Are we just following are we just kind of like following the mold and playing with the idea of, like, we could obviously queerify it, like that's no problem, but are we still kind of like staying with the idea of Orpheus and Eurydice, that these are the people that this is the kind of like central story, it's still the underworld, it's a Greek tragedy, all those sorts of things? Are we still sticking to that kind of storytelling, or do we want to do something different? And if we are doing something different, what are we doing? And talking it through with him and hearing how excited he was to do a sci-fi perspective on this kind of sold me. I heard his kind of pitch for, yeah, let's do a sci-fi thing, let's do something with like space travel and computers and things like that. Like, what if this isn't death, but this kind of like weird state in between? And I was like, this sounds dope as hell. Let's do it. So, and it was such a strong concept, and I thought that it was going to be a strong storytelling concept that folks would enjoy, that once we revealed it, folks would go, oh, damn. I mean, we love Follow Me Down, but this also sounds interesting. Like, I would love to like learn more and do this. That was kind of like our goal, and it seemed that y'all were very receptive to it. So my gut feeling of noticing that turned out to be correct and accurate, which is amazing. So those are the kind of like challenges in production that I notice. This next section that I'd like to talk about is what lessons I've learned since beginning this journey on Spiritbear AP, and what are things that I will ensure to be doing next time to make things smoother and easier for me to run and do, right? So first lesson is, let your friends or the folks that are in your team help you. It is really important, actually, to have these folks help you. There was a part of me that, as y'all know, I am looking to, some of y'all might know I'm looking to update my rig, my setup, my laptop. And part of me was gearing up and being like, okay, maybe I need to like blow some cash that I was saving for like as a Christmas present to myself to buy a new laptop so I can run a production. Or like, hey, maybe I need to find all the music by myself. Or like, oh, hey, I need to like do all of these like nameplates and panels all by myself. And I'm gonna say, the more things you can have other folks help you with, the better it is going to be for you, because that's something I'm definitely going to bring into my next AP. It is a life lesson, isn't it? Where I'm gonna, one, I'll start earlier, and then I can give myself and the folks who are in my team more time to help me with stuff, whether it is choosing music, whether it is kind of like planning out how the transitions and overlays are working, helping out with recording and producing like promotional content, things like that, just so that I didn't have to spend hours at my computer in front of canva.com trying to get things done and sorted, right? So that was definitely a huge lesson, and I also learned a lot about that. I did acquire a lot of skills doing this, but it'll be nice to have more folks help me out. Second lesson, don't GM and produce. I've said this before and I say it again. I'm glad I didn't try and do it, because it's really hard. It's really hard to do both. Don't GM and produce. Have someone else run it for you. Just give them your stream key and let them do it for you, because my god, I mean, of course this is a testament to the wonderful, the amazing C. Thomas, but whose praises I will sing and shout from the rooftops. But like, genuinely having someone else run tech and not have to worry or look and figure out my frame rates are fine, figuring out if I can be heard, figuring out that everything is running fine and normal and okay. I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God someone else can deal with that. And not me. That was, for me, that was like a huge weight off of my shoulders. But I know so many people who run their own production while also GMing, and I genuinely have no fucking idea how they do it, because my god, I cannot imagine. I genuinely cannot imagine. Anyways, so that's the second lesson I learned. Third lesson, and this might be a lesson that maybe a lot of you folks might relate. Get organized. Start early and get organized. Start early and get organized, because you want to give yourself, especially to my ADHD girlies out there, my ADHD girlies, we gotta start early. And not only do we have to start early, you're gonna have to get organized. Get that to-do list out. Get that to-do list out. Figure out what you need to do right now and what can wait. Do not let the tickle of ADHD of I'm really feeling creatively driven to do this right now when you have another task that you need to do. And if you have to do that, really channel it and get it done really fast and all of that. But like, get organized, because that really helped with this production, because I felt like I was on top of it when I was running the show and figuring out the project managing, giving folks to-do lists, keeping our group chat, and that we have a Discord group chat, and I pinned like, here's the music playlist, here are where the overlays are, here's the Google Drive link, here's the stream key, here is the browser source, all of these things, and it was wonderful. It was so nice. And I'm genuinely really proud of myself for challenging myself to really get organized and to really kind of like get into the very, very satisfying nitty-gritty of like getting all these folders up, making sure that everything's on time, meeting my own deadlines. It was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it, and it was very satisfactory when I came out of our first episode going, damn, all that work, completely worth it. Completely worth it. And it's a lesson learned of like, if I started earlier, then I could have done everything else so much more efficiently. We might have had time to like email sponsors, things like that. So, or even have pitch documents. And I'm really proud of myself for that. And I would love for folks to go and like check that out as well. Yes, be proud. Thank you. I am proud of myself. It was definitely one of those things where I'm like, it was just so nice to see myself kind of like challenge myself in that way and come out the other side. And thank the 8 for C. Thank the 8 for C, Thomas. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I was a nervous wreck the morning. Well, for y'all, it's evening, morning for me. But, like, I woke up at 4:45 a.m. my time. I woke up at 4:45 a.m. my time. And call for us. I said folks could join call for pre-production at 6:30. But I was in that call at 6:15, and I woke up at 4:45 because I was like, I need to make sure my desk is fine. I need to make sure that I'm in character. I need to make sure my notes are fine. I need to make sure I have my character sheet. I need to make sure that C has all the stuff they need, and I'll hop on call earlier just so that like C and I can like talk through these things. I was a nervous wreck at the start of the set before even the session started. I was so worried, and C knows me so well. We've worked together for like God, since summer of 2021. We've worked together. So, oh my God, it's like 2 years. That's 2 years. Damn, C and I have known each other for 2 years already. Holy crap! And C knows me so well. It's the transplaner. It's a transplaner thing where y'all work together for so many hours, right? Every week. You hang out with each other so many hours every week. C knows when I'm nervous. C knows when I need more support. C knows when they need to kind of like step in and reassure me, and they always know the right things to like help me and ground me back together. I'm like so grateful for them. And they really were kind of like this big shining star of like, I got you. Here's the font. Here are the nameplate fonts. Here's the tipping goal. Like, I've got it all fine and perfect. Don't you worry. C was so good at like all the production stuff. We were ready from like 6:35, 6:40. We were ready. We could have gone live then. We were like, from the tech and production side, we were ready. It was incredible. And like, it's a testament to C's like skill, right? And experience. Thank you, Azra. Yeah, C's incredible. If you could get someone like C to produce for you, please do. The nerves and thrill getting you up early and ready. Oh yeah, it's the same thing I do for Chaos Protocol. I wake up at 5 a.m. for Chaos Protocol. I get up at 5 a.m. I should do a get ready with me TikTok about it sometime. It's just hard to film it. But I wake up at 5 a.m. I make my breakfast. I sit down and just like enjoy and eat my breakfast. Watch a couple like YouTube videos just to get into the groove. Then I listen to Sayer's playlist while I shower. Then I get dressed. I try to make sure that I'm on call around 7:10. So if I'm doing big AP stuff, I'm up early. I see you waking up and choosing violence for Chaos Protocol. I do wake up and choose violence for Chaos Protocol because I also take that time to review my notes. I review my notes for my personal notes for Sayer, and I also sit and review my notes from like C and our dramaturgy meetings, and I try to bring it into the next session. It's very fun. So that's another lesson learned. The next lesson I learned is produce shows and stories you want. Notes for Sayer, all caps, hubris. I mean, that's kind of true, actually. Kind of true, actually. I'm in my hubris era. I am a sucker. Like, I don't like base hubris. Like, base hubris to me is so lackluster, and it speaks more to arrogance than it does like, and because of that, sometimes you kind of just like reduce the character that's enacting that hubris to just a moral lesson, right? Or like an antagonistic force. I mean, think about Icarus, right? Like, a lot of people who look at Icarus and they go, oh god, silly man, silly man, glad I'm not him. But I wanted to kind of like bring the human into it and bring the kind of like the emotion behind it. And with Sayer, having him, yeah, there is a difference between arrogance and hubris. But I feel like a lot of people, when they read tales about hubris, they kind of inadvertently link it to arrogance rather than hubris. And I wanted to be like, hey, Sayer wasn't doing this because he thinks he's hot shit, right? He's doing this because he genuinely thought he was doing the right thing, and that he was encouraged to do the right thing, and that he's standing up for his strike team, and he's being a good member of the team, right? So that's the reason why I do it. With Jericho from They Sleep Among Stars, like, Jericho did all this took all these risks to save himself and his lover. Like, who can tell him to do otherwise? When pressed, when pressed and made to make a decision, what else is there, right? So that's I really wanted to like highlight hubris, and I wanted folks to be able to kind of like read the story and be like, oh, this is a tale of hubris, not of arrogance, right? This is a tragedy, and we get to kind of like learn from that tragedy and watch this character grow from it, right? So I'm enjoying my hubris era. It is a lot of fun. But yes, I do wake up early, read my notes about hubris, and go, all right, I'm ready. But yeah, I'm very excited for this next episode. Y'all are not ready. I'm not ready. Penultimate episode. Woo! Woo! Arc 1 is nearly over, baby. Oh god. Oh god. But yes, I was making a point. The point I was going to make is produce the shows that and stories you want. I said this about like many other things in like TTRPG stuff. I feel like, especially if you're like entering the space and feel like you want to create content, there's a pressure to create the market content, right? To create the kind of content that's for specific audiences and get big that way. But I genuinely believe that if you are driven and passionate about the thing that you want, and it's not like necessarily the mainstream and more popular thing, do it. Do it because it's the thing that you want, and your passion will shine through, right? Like, I mean, just look at They Sleep Among Stars, the trailer and everything, right? And the show. Like, I looked at the viewers that were in the stream, and there were several people that I saw, and I was like, I don't know your usernames, actually. I don't think you're regulars on my stream, but you're here, which means somehow my like promos, my marketing reached you, and you thought it was cool to check out. And not only did you think it was cool to check out, you think it was cool enough that you stayed, right? And that's valuable. And these are folks that like engage with the content really, really earnestly and sincerely, right? I feel this. I'm back trying to reevaluate what kind of work I want to do and show. What do I want to tell with my TTRPG work? It's been so hard to figure that out. It is hard and challenging, because there is kind of a level of kind of like, okay, but what do I want to get out of this, right? And I was literally talking to a game designer yesterday for a secret project that we have for this channel. Don't you worry about it. And we were talking about like why we're in game design and why we are engaging in the TTRPG space and things like that. And for me, it's all about storytelling. I want to tell good stories. That's always been like a driving force in all of that. Don't be worried. It's a nice thing. Don't be worried. It's a really nice thing. I've got a really, really cool thing coming up. We just need to figure out scheduling. It's really, really cute. Don't worry. It's gonna be very, very cute. I promise. But yeah, the lesson is like produce stuff that you want, Because there was a part of me when we were doing the follow me down like world building and stuff, and I was just like, God, I hope this isn't like too out there for people. Like I sat there, I was just like, I think this is a brilliant and cool as fuck idea. I hope people aren't like weirded out by it. None of you were. A lot of you were kind of super engaged and interested in the idea of like, oh, sci-fi queer follow me down game, right? Like it's cool as hell, and y'all, and because what I think it is like, not only is the concept so strong and resonant and visceral, I think part of it is also like you could tell that Vic and I were excited about this by like the content we were putting out, by the way we were promoting it, by even my trailer that I edited using Wondershare Filmora and canva.com, right? And like I'm not above like acknowledging that it isn't the most like professionally made trailer, but I think you could tell that it was a labor of love. I think you could tell that like that whoever was editing it, it was me, and whoever was voicing the characters, both Vic and I, that we loved the story, that we were excited, and that made folks want to tune in. And I think that matters. I think I think folks know. I think folks get it. When I, as a viewer, I love seeing when people are truly passionate about their games and storytelling. It's one of the reasons why I love like Bad House RPG and Nameless Domain and Transpainer RPG, because it's so nice to like when you hop on stream and you can tell that everyone at that table, no matter what stories being told, but it doesn't have to be all like sunshine rainbows comedy, even the dark fantasy shit, everyone there is having a good time and they care. It's infectious. It's very infectious. I want to do more with TTRPGs and get into AP stuff as a player. It's just hard to figure out what I want to do and show, plus everything else to consider. I also feel very novice in terms of skills, so that's that. That's a-okay. Also, don't be afraid to give a couple like streams a try. I will highlight one of Connie's advice of like, don't be afraid about being picky about where you want to play, but also don't feel like you have to kind of like be a professional for stuff. We all had to start somewhere. My God, I started with Fear and Living Color, and I had to share a table with Eli, Connie, RK, and goodness, everyone's names is vanished from my head. But yeah, I just shared this table with these folks, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. But I grew and I figured it out. But yeah, but like also that's one of the main reasons I made Spiritbear AP, is because there are lots of players like yourself that I want to highlight and show on streams and be able to kind of like nurture talent. That's another goal of mine, is that I'm like, I want to give folks who don't have access that access, and I also want it to be like, hey, let me nurture the skill here. Like let's show some new talent and let's nurture that skill. Amazing. So that's lessons learned. Do folks have any questions before I hop onto the next section, which is GMing for entertainment? Let me know. Let me know. Feel free to pop those questions in the chat. My hair is very long, so it's now being very unruly. I might need a slight haircut soon. Speaking of which, I need to, while y'all are doing your questions, I will have a little drink. Alrighty. I think with that, oh, sorry phone. Okay. With that, thank you, Veridon, for the hydrate. I will hydrate again. What is my biggest challenge as a producer? So there's two answers I want to give. The first answer I think is a more like systematic answer, like a more systematic challenge that I would like to figure out and find more solutions for. And the second is a more like personal like challenge. I'll start with the personal. The biggest personal challenge I think as someone with ADHD with production is that project management aspect. I am not, unless I am like keyed in from the get-go of with like my ADHD meds and like it's a show I'm passionate about and all of the circumstances are perfectly just right. Project management for me is like this. Easy. When I'm like passionate and I'm at my best and I am on my meds and all of that, like project management, piece of cake. I am the organized, like most Virgo rising motherfucker out there. Right? But you know, if I'm tired or if I've got a lot of stuff going on at that time, for me, getting organized is really, really hard, especially so with ADHD and executive dysfunction. There are several days when I was like running things where I was like, God damn, I also need to do the TikToks. Oh no, you know, and I bury my face in my hands, and I that's challenging. That's really challenging, and I think it encompasses a lot of the other smaller challenges because it kind of all culminates in the getting organized aspects of production. So that was the biggest challenge for me, was like getting organized and getting into that space of like, all right, this is the goal, this is the frame that we're doing, and let's get going, right? The more systematic like big challenge, funding is challenging. I am blessed and lucky that I'm in a position where I'm able from my own funds give my player and my tech producer a base pay. And because I'm here for both episodes, so I'm like, all right, so I'm able to pay them. But it is obviously not the most sustainable model because I have some funds right now to do that, but not a ton, not as much as I would love to pay them for this. And it's then the only alternative is having y'all help us with tips, as well as figuring out sponsorships. And I'm gonna be real honest with all of you. I don't know how that works. I don't know how it works. I know it's a lot of emails. I know it's a numbers game. I know that like pitch decks are necessary, but I don't know what a good pitch deck looks like. I don't know what I need to do. What are the words I need to say? And in all honesty, like I just didn't have enough time from the conception of this idea to execution to get those sponsorships out and the necessary funds, because like a lot of the organizing for this was happening while I was in the States. Like we like conceived of this idea at the end of, yeah, like towards the end of September, and then I left for Big Bad Con and going to Minneapolis, and so a lot of it was like, okay, now I need to like figure. We did session 0 just before we left, and then after that I was like, all right, so now we need to do a world building meeting when I get back, but we need to like keep in constant contact. We had our previous tech person leave, and because of that I was like, okay, cool, I need to find a new tech person. So y'all saw, if some of y'all who were following me on Twitter saw me have a real anxious tweet where I was like, I need to find a tech producer, I'll pay, please help. And NC offered, and it was so good. But yeah, like it was what that was the biggest kind of like hurdle there of like making sure everyone gets paid and wanting to be the kind of production that pays people well. That's the biggest like systematic challenge, and it's something that I'm gonna after this AP, I'm gonna do some like analytics stuff, and I'm going to like start building out my pitch deck. I have a meeting with someone who can give me advice on that, so that'll be something I'll be working on and getting sponsorships. Chaotic, anxious, cancer rising here. I don't know what organization means. Listen, you're so valid. Don't you worry. What is the most fun aspect? Most fun aspect? The storytelling. Without a doubt. The most fun I had on this project was like getting to do the storytelling, getting to do the GMing, like being the performance part is always the most fun for me, because I live to perform. I live to tell stories. Like, that is the thing that drives me, that fuels me. So being able to kind of have this like, oh, we're all this production stuff, all this cool things, and then I'm like, all right, now that we're done doing all of the administrative boring things, Vic, let's talk about world building. Who is our Orpheus? Who is our Eurydice? What is this world? You know, we were conceiving of the idea of like our Eurydice Santiago being in cryosleep. I was like, okay, cool. Are we doing the sci-fi thing where we have the computer kind of be weird? And we were both like, oh, the computer's gotta be weird. We gotta have a weird little AI in there. We gotta have a weird little AI in there. And that was so much fun. It was so much fun to world build. Like conceiving of Star, conceiving of how we were like doing all of the all of these aspects. It was so much fun. And I love storytelling. Did anything surprise you? Ooh, very good question. Very good question. Did anything surprise me? Positively? I'll tell you what positively surprised me. Reception. The reception to a smaller channel running an AP was very, very humbling and very, very amazing to see. Because I truly thought that I would peak at like 5 viewers, just because that isn't the kind of content I put out typically, right? So I was fully expecting to just be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a like a 5 viewers thing, and that's fine. And I was happy in that. But then we peaked at like 10 viewers, and we maintained between 8 to 10 throughout it, which was like really surprised. I was surprised. I was surprised, and that was a good lesson of like, hey, more people are willing to do this than you think, and that's a good mindset to have. Negatively, what surprised me negatively? What surprised me negatively is kind of like the amount of like kind of like technical know-how you need to get a lot of stuff up and running. There were a couple of times where I'm like, oh yeah, I could just throw this in fast and quickly. And the answer is no, he did not. Narrative voice, no, he could not throw this up nice and quickly. He needed a full day to figure out how it works. But then he learned, and then he gained a skill point. But yeah, that is the what surprised me, both positively and negatively. Feel free to keep throwing your questions in there. Whatever like jumps into your brain. We can now move, I think, to our next section about GMing for entertainment, because I think maybe some of y'all might have questions related to that. So the reason why I wanted to cover this is because I feel there is a I love you so much. That narrative voice for the win. Thank you. It was definitely the narrative voice that was happening throughout doing any background production stuff. Anyway, So I wanted to talk about GMing for entertainment because I do think, not necessarily that y'all think this. Please know a lot of y'all are pretty aware of this because we've talked about it multiple times. But there are people, general, that have this misconception that like GMing or playing for entertainment for an actual play is somehow the same as just playing at a table with your friends. It is not. It is not, and I will argue that if your only frame of reference of performing and storytelling in the like AP production space is just we are a bunch of friends sitting around a table, you might want to reassess it because it's like that's not necessarily that's an aspect, that's like a sub aspect that makes shows successful, right? Like let's look at Critical Role. What makes Critical Role successful? On a base, let's removing production, removing money aside, what made Critical Role successful? It was a group of friends. Yes, they were friends, which means what? They have good chemistry. It was a table with very good chemistry. And it was a table of good chemistry with who? Who are these people? Professional voice actors. Professional voice actors who have done improv, who have done on-screen acting. These are performers. This is a table of performers who are really good friends with each other and have good chemistry, and that is one of the main successful aspects of Critical Role. It's one of the main things people love about them. Hello, Kami. Thank you so much for joining. Nice to see you in chat. We're talking about the differences between GMing for entertainment and GMing just at a table. Well, welcome on in. So nice to see you. Let's look at Dimension 20. What makes Dimension 20 so successful? A lot of times the folks at their tables are performers, are improv professionals. Brennan is a GM with a ton of experience. In storytelling, in LARPing, in D&D, stuff like that, right? And he is an entertainer by trade, right? And they also have high production value, of course. It's not just, oh, haha, we're a bunch of friends and we're sitting here. I mean, every campaign of Dimension 20 shows you that. They have different casts, they talk about a lot of stuff in the, it's not Adventuring Academy, it's the other thing they do, which is their episode talkback show, where they talk about here are the themes that we're talking about, here this is the story that we're trying to tell, and we try to align the kind of stories that's planning that goes behind this. It isn't just I roll a funny character and I sit and I play, right? So it is fundamentally different. There's fundamentally different goals from being a GM at home versus being a GM for a show, for a production. And the fundamental different goals is when you're GMing at home, you want to have fun with your friends. And that looks like different things in different sessions, and that's fun and great and wonderful, right? GMing for a show, you are GMing for an audience, for your players and the audience. There's two groups of people you need to be considering. You have to consider your players, because a good show is when your players have fun. Believe me, I can see it by in week in and week out with Transplanar RPG. The episodes where y'all can see that we're having fun is the one where y'all are the most excited. We can see that, we can tell, right? And that's why Connie works and C as well tirelessly to be like, what are your stars and wishes, guys? Or what are your wishes? What do you want to do? Because then we get to put in a lot of the fun stuff that we want to do, and we get to go ham and really, really enjoy ourselves, right? But they also have to think about the audience. And one of the kind of things that come into play when you're thinking about the audience, right? For example, Connie, one of the big moves Connie made for Chaos Protocol was splitting each stream into 2 episodes, which meant that our 3-hour stream is split into an hour 15, hour 15 episodes, making the episodes easier to listen to, making it more streamlined, making it more accessible to folks, having it having a professional audio design and edit our podcasts, having someone just handle production and like not have to worry about doing a bunch of other things while they're handling production, right? Like all of that for the sake of ensuring the audience has a good time, right? And while making that episode successful, making sure that like the kind of stories that we're exploring are ones that the players like and the kind of ones that the audience would want to resonate with, right? All that good stuff. And you gotta think about that, right? So it's fundamentally different goals. When you are GMing for an AP, you are the world, you are the story, and you are also a performer. It isn't like I'm the GM, this is my table of 4 AP performers. No, that is a table of 5 AP performers. The GM is a performer. Just like we said plenty of times that the GM is a player, the GM here is also a performer. The GM is the one that's introducing the world. Yes, the GM is there adjudicating. Yes, the GM is there to set up the story. Yes, but the GM is also a performer. If the GM isn't there setting up like the energy, it's so as someone who is a player and as a GM, as a player from a player perspective, when my GM goes in and is like committed to their performance, committed to their role and things like that, it's so much easier on me as a player to also commit that much, to also like give in that level of like vulnerability, to give in that level of excitement and things like that, and dedication to the role, right? And it's so much easier when you can see that your GM is doing the same thing for you, right? And from a GM's perspective, I've noticed that when I go ham as a performer, when I am there and setting up the world and I'm clearly in it, right? I can see in the eyes of my players who are the performers, they're in it. They are in it, they respond, and they're having fun. They're having fun. So that is like it is fundamentally different, right? Like that you are wearing a lot of hats, and one of those hats is that of a performer. You are there to perform. Just like your players are. It's just that you also have a bunch of other tasks on top of it. And that is a lot of work. Like, we can acknowledge that. There's a lot of prep that goes into it. There's a lot of like talk and communication session zeros behind the scenes to make sure that everything kind of like is working. Making sure that everyone's feeling safe at the table, all of that. And you gotta get organized. You gotta know your game like this, right? And not only do you get to know your game like this, you as a GM gotta have a flexible mindset. Your players might change their minds or directions based on like the drama or the dramaturgy or the story beats that's happening in the episode. So you as a GM, who are not only who is a performer and also essentially an improv actor, like you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready to kind of like, all right, I had a different direction for this, but this is the direction that my players are engaging with. Time to pivot, and not only pivot in a way that's like interesting and fun for the players, but pivot in a way that's interesting and fun for the audience, which is, it's a lot of work, and it is definitely a very different mindset to have. So what do you want to do? So where does this leave us, Val? Like, clearly there's a lot that goes into jamming for entertainment and in an AP setting, right? So where does that leave us? Right? You gotta get organized. There's a lot of organization, there's a lot of structure, and being solid in your storytelling. And I'll give you an example, because this is a They Sleep Among Stars talkback. How this manifested in this game was I have very, very structured notes on how I expected the game to run, right? Like Vic and I agreed beforehand, because we would be essentially jamming for each other, that we would do like one sort of like flavor encounter and one real encounter. We didn't reveal details of what those encounters are. We did like safety check-ins, but other than that, not real. We didn't tell each other what was gonna happen. But in terms of like getting organized and like setting out the world and building out all these things, I got to do the thing where I was able to get organized. I wrote these encounters, and I had to think within these encounters, okay, what will be fun for Vic and what will be fun for the audience, right? So for example, with the first book that I GM'd for Santiago, I was like, ooh, what would be fun for Vic in that first encounter with Shepard is to really introduce all that sci-fi elements, because I know that Vic is a big sci-fi nerd. So I was like, all right, I know what's gonna get him into the world and into the dynamic that I want him to be in, and I gotta create that by engaging with the thing he's really interested in, sci-fi. And I did a bunch of research. He told me what kind of like face he wanted Santiago to have. So I was like, all right, I'm going to mirror that with this shepherd thing. When it touches your miracle, it's also going to grow that skull with the circuitry, mirroring you. We're going to have like this weird kind of like juxtaposition between the grid that lies beneath the world that essentially is like where everything is rigged to, and this weird meadow thing. I, as the performer of this NPC, I'm gonna really like play into the idea of like that loading, kind of like growing, ever shifting AI into that, right? So that's how I was able to go, this is how I get Vic into it. And then as a GM, I was like, all right, what's gonna hook my audience? What are stuff after watching book 1 and kind of being introduced to this world? What does the audience want? And I try to put myself in the shoes of the audience, and I go, okay, I would want to know what the hell is happening. I would want it to be named, right? Like, why is this happening? Why is the computer acting this way? So I have to show y'all Star, and not only show y'all Star, name Star, perform as Star, and kind of show the gravity of the current situation, the current conflict that is happening, because then you get your audience invested. And not only are they invested, they're invested and they can direct that attention, that investment to a direction, and that is your antagonist, who is the antagonistic force that's kind of fueling the world that you have created. And that's what I mean, right? By like, when you're GMing, you're like, okay, this is gonna be fun for my player, but what will be a fun little thing for the audience? And you can see other GMs doing this as well. Like, think about the classic Connie cliffhanger. The classic Connie cliffhanger is the perfect example of this. Connie does that for both players and the audience, but you have to admit it's an effective audience technique. Because like, all of y'all who are watching us live are going, we know that Connie's gonna end us on a cliffhanger. We know it is expected at this point what's going to happen, and y'all are eager from the start to finish, and so are we as the players, because we are like, okay, we're coming out close to the end of stream here, Connie. Where does this go? And Connie's like, getting into a description, and we're like, all right, Connie, where is this going? Where's the cliffhanger? We're our butts at the edge of our seat, right? And trying to figure out what's happening. And it is it's a very, very effective technique. It's a very, very effective technique. All right, so saying all of that, what are the tips and tricks that someone could have or could use in GMing for entertainment? Having, like, honestly, whatever thing you do to get really into your world and really into your story, do that. And do that regularly whenever you're doing a GMing for entertainment thing. Right? Whether it's a one-shot miniseries or a long-term campaign. Like, if the thing that helps you really get into that, like, delicious GM mind space, like listen to music, do that.
If it's like looking at a bunch of pictures on Pinterest, do that. Like, find the things that really fuel you creatively and utilize it in your performance. And it's and being, and again, it seems like the word of the day is organized. Being organized really saves you a lot of hassle. And I'm not saying you need to have, just like GMing at home, I'm not asking folks to have pages and pages of prep. My prep for They Sleep Among Stars was 2 pages. Like the actual like encounters and stuff like that, 2 pages. And honestly, it could probably all fit in 1 page, but I like things spaced out so it's easier for me to read. So really, maybe 1.5 page. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be super detailed. But it needs to work for you, and it needs to be able to help you. You need, when you're planning, and the tips and tricks of like getting organized is about you knowing what works for you and not trying to do like a thing that works for someone else, but you don't know if it works on you. Like, it's fun to experiment and things like that, but but if you are able to go and know, oh, I perform best as a GM when my notes are like this, or if things are a little bit more open, or if things are more detailed, do that. Do whatever it is that can help you cede more space to yourself, because yeah, as I said before, when you're GMing for entertainment, you are the world, you are the story, you are the performer. So anything that you can do to remove smaller things off the plate can help you leave more space for the performer, right? If you can put less burdens on yourself regarding like knowing your story and knowing the world, and kind of just having enough tools to use it, you leave more space for you to be in that performer mindset and be able to just go and perform. What other tips and tricks can I give y'all? I'm trying to think like what else I find very, very helpful. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the tips that I utilize, I have spoken about in my GM prep with less stress workshops, where I covered like how to prep for different types of shows. I think those are not only helpful in a home game context, they're also very helpful in a show context of don't do more work than you need to. Because you're like, if you're GMing for entertainment, you already have a lot of work. Don't add more. Don't add more work for yourself. Like, you're already doing a shit ton. So like leave space for yourself for that. But yeah, that's GMing for entertainment. Do folks have any questions about that? Even if it's related to like They Sleep Among Stars, if you have questions about how like my GMing was for that, like what inspired me, all of that, feel free to drop it in chat and let me know your thoughts. Doing a little dance. The music's very nice. Doing a little jig. And I should also drink some water. Hydration station. But yeah, listen, like jamming for streams is one of my favorite things to do. It may be a lot of work, but it is genuinely one of like my favorite things. I love jamming so much, and I love telling stories. So like, I know I'm sitting here being like, oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, I had to get really organized. But it is such a labor of love for me. Verdant, thank you so much for redeeming a stretch. Oh. Thank you very much, Verdant. I really appreciate the stretch. This is my invitation to all of you to also join me in stretching, especially if you're sat at a desk. Join me for some stretches, friends. Take care of yourselves. Ooh. Oh, big stretch. All right, amazing. Now that I have stretched and feel good, thank you so much, Veridan. But yeah, do folks have any other questions? I'm just double checking my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to cover specifically while y'all type up your questions. Oh, that's the wrong page. Whoops. Whoops! Oh, no, I don't. I kind of already like covered it in the GM prep. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover here about like AP Productions. I just kind of wanted to demystify some stuff and talk more about like the because I do feel like there's an air of mystery around productions, and being able to kind of like let y'all know, hey, this is something that you can do. This is just stuff that you need to think about when you want to do it. I think would really help, because you know, I feel like a lot of folks do not feel incredibly empowered to do a creative thing, and letting y'all know that like, hey, you can do it, and here's how to do it, would be very, very helpful for folks out here. So that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do it. With that, I think since we have a bit more time, because this was going to be a shorter stream anyway, but since we do have a little bit more time, I would love for us to talk about some of the projects I've got lined up right now. So tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, we will have the second part of They Sleep Among Stars. This will cover the last 4 books, as well as the Gauntlet of Hope and Regret. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a doozy, and I'm so excited to like play as Jericho and the Fates for you all. It's going to be so much fun. And I kind of teased that I've got an upcoming project coming up at some point. I haven't sent the when to meet to schedule everything at the moment, but I do really want to tell y'all what we've got planned, basically what it's about. I've been trying to get some scheduling done with indie designers behind the scenes to do a game design showcase, where I invite the game designer onto this stream. We talk about their game design principles, how they got into game design. We highlight one of their projects that they're specifically proud of. Hello, Ari. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you. We just covered the main talkback, but if you have any questions about production, about GMing for APs versus at home, or about They Sleep Among Stars, feel free to pop into chat. Well, I'm just letting folks know right now about the upcoming program that I want to put on for ttrpg Learning Spaces, which is a game designer showcase, where I showcase indie designers, especially folks who are from Southeast Asia or the Global South, that don't get a lot of screen time and acknowledgement for their work. So I want to showcase them. It'll be like an interview styled sort of situation where I interview them, ask them about their game design philosophies, why they got into game design, highlight one of their games on stream, and and talk through like the mechanics, the rules, what were the challenges that they faced in like crafting the mechanics of the game. And then finally we'll end with a tips and tricks for game design, as well as a Q&A. Very, very typical TTRPG Learning Spaces stuff, except that I will have the actual designer right in front of me, so I get to ask them the questions about it. So that is the upcoming thing. I do have a game designer on deck. We just had a meeting yesterday to kind of like talk through a lot of the details of how that's going to look like. And I'm very, very excited for it. We just need to schedule it. It'll probably be for this upcoming stream, it'll probably be a morning stream. So I'm gonna try and shoot for a weekend stream. Let it be like a weekend thing, so y'all can like join in the morning, but you don't have to worry about missing it because of work. So that is the project we got coming up. I'm very, very excited for it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. That'll be so cool. You make an incredible host. Thank you. I'm glad you're saying that, because I was part of me after my meeting yesterday. I was just kind of like, oh, I need to go and like watch some videos about like what makes a good like host for interviewing like game designers, right? Like what are the kind of questions that are basic and how to avoid them, things like that. So that's gonna be my homework in the next few days. I've got a lot of homework to do in the next few days. Cause oh my goodness, I got a lot. Like what day is it even today? Like today it's Thursday. Oh my god, the weekend is so close. Today is Thursday for me. Tomorrow is the second part of They Sleep Among Stars, and then after that I have another recording for a secret project on Friday that I can't talk about. Secret project on Friday, and then Saturday's Translator RPG. The next couple weeks is going to be a little batshit for me, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm gonna have to make sure I have a lot of naps, lots of naps, to really get in there. Yeah, do folks have any questions about AP production, stuff like that? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about, especially for like upcoming content. Let me check my calendar. I'm so glad you enjoyed that AP. Oh, thank you so much. That means the world. Thank you so much. I'm so glad y'all liked it. I couldn't engage so much with chat because I was like in the performance headspace. It was really hard because we're GMing and everything. But I am so happy. I'm so happy that you all enjoyed it. You enjoyed listening in. Thank you, Okami. Thank you. I'm so glad y'all enjoyed it. Like that y'all don't know how much that means to me, because I was like, God, I'm putting this is my first time putting like my show out there. I really hope it's good. I really hope that y'all like it and enjoy it, and I would be very sad if you didn't. I did see your emotes. I was like, oh, okay, Azra screaming. It's good. It's horrifying the people that needed to horrify. It's everything I wanted and more. I'm so glad. Ari. I'm so glad. Speaking of the incredible show that folks seem to really enjoy, the Sleep Among Stars, I am going to pop the link to the VOD on YouTube if folks want to watch the VOD but prefer YouTube as a platform to watch said VOD on. Every little bit helps, so go ahead and check us out over there. I edited out a lot of the like break scenes in between, so it should be a little shorter, so just below 3 hours. But thank you all for watching it. I was crushed beneath the weight of gayness coming for y'all's roleplaying. Yeah, I was saying this before, Ari. Vic and I do have very, very good table chemistry, which is one of the main reasons why he was my first choice with playing opposite me, because I was like, we've kind of like skirted around a lot of like the romantic interest stuff. We did play romantic interest in a home game, but we didn't get to like fully explore it because for like 1.5 sessions he was like traveling. But so I was kind of like, oh, this is a thing. We've got some really good chemistry. We should check this out, right? We should see what's up with this. And we did, and it was very, very fun. And This second part is gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be a doozy. We've got 4 more books, and then the Gauntlet of Hope and Regret. So essentially 5 books left. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of, I can guarantee y'all are gonna have fun. And I can guarantee you all it's going to be dramatic. It's gonna be dramatic and unhinged. I do have plans to do a talkback with Vic. Marie Curie couldn't replicate that kind of chemistry. And you're right, and you should say it. You're right, and you should say it. We have very good chemistry. But yeah, I do plan on doing a They Sleep Among Stars talkback with Vic. Where we talk about our process, because we'll be allowed to spoil it after it's out. Excuse me. And we just kind of like talk about our process, about GMing, about being in a game that's 2 players, how that feels like, especially in the performance context. So yeah, I do have plans on doing a talkback with Vic. I'm literally gonna, I think after the stream, message him and ask him what his availability is, so we can pencil it in for within the next couple weeks, so that y'all don't have to wait for more content. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm really glad y'all enjoyed the show. I'm very, very excited. I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait to put my Jericho makeup on again. It's gonna be so much fun. Alrighty, gang. With that, unless there are questions in chat, we might begin winding down for the stream. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm so grateful to you all for hanging out and joining me for my very, very impromptu talkback stream. It means the world to me. Before we get going, of course, let's talk about some of the stuff that we have got coming up. First off, let's talk about the fact that Transplanar RPG's penultimate episode is happening this weekend. We're back on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the penultimate episode of Arc 1, The Chaos Protocol. I'm sure y'all have some feelings. Thank you, Okami. I will get some rest after this. Don't worry, I promise. After I do some work, I'll get some rest, I promise. But yes, everyone get hyped. We paused at a real weird moment. It is time. Yes, bring those screaming emotes. This Sayer has made some choices, and it's time to see the results of his choices. And I'm so excited to experience that with all of you. Hope to see you on Saturday in chat, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be so much fun. And a big reminder that I am playtesting The Beast Within, my first ever TTRPG. It is a narrative first action RPG reminiscent of 80s and 90s grunge fighting games where you play a werebeast. The playtest interest signups are now live. If you are a part of my Discord, you will be prioritized in getting a playtest in early, because it's easier for me to organize y'all into groups and play and run things for y'all, and y'all all are in one place. So if you would like that, and if you'd like to hang out with a chill Discord that won't clog your notification feed, you should join us. And it's also a great way to keep up to date with all the stuff that I'm involved in, because I try to announce stuff to the Discord before I announce stuff publicly, which is very, very fun. If you love my stuff, please consider following me on Twitter and on TikTok. I do have a lot of stuff, and I linked my YouTube earlier. Also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It really does help. Amazing. And also big and final reminder that They Sleep Among Stars finale is happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. We are coming to the conclusion of Jericho and Santiago's journey. Will their love be enough? We shall see tomorrow. I can't wait for y'all to fully experience it. It's gonna be great. Alrighty, and with that, before y'all leave and head out, let's go and send some love to another Twitch channel, just so we can make sure that everyone's having a good time. I think I saw D'Angelo was streaming. I believe D'Angelo is streaming. So let's go and send some love over to D'Angelo, who is an incredible game designer in the TTRPG space, also a professional GM. Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you all. I will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern for the finale of the Sleep Among Stars. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.